Tonight, the world feels a little quieter than usual, not because everything has stopped, but because, for the first time today, you've allowed yourself to slow down enough to notice the silence that was already there. Somewhere, outside your window, the night has settled into its familiar rhythm. Streetlights hum softly, distant sounds blur into a gentle hush, and the air itself seems to breathe more slowly now. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to understand anything. You're simply here, listening, resting, letting the edges of the day soften and fade. Tonight, we're not chasing answers. We're not solving problems. We're not trying to make sense of the universe. Tonight, we're going to explore something extraordinary, not by thinking harder, but by letting go. This is a journey into something incredibly small, so small that language struggles to hold it, so quiet that even curiosity must whisper. Imagine, for a moment, a single grain of dust floating in a beam of moonlight. You've seen this before, how it drifts lazily, suspended between presence and disappearance. It's there, and yet, almost not. Now imagine shrinking that grain of dust, not with effort, not with intention. It simply becomes smaller and smaller until it feels less like an object and more like a thought gently dissolving. Tonight's story begins in that delicate space, where things are no longer solid, no longer measurable, no longer demanding to be understood. There is a place in our universe where size loses its meaning, where distance no longer behaves the way we expect, where even time seems to hesitate. But this isn't a scientific lecture. It's not a lesson you need to remember. Think of it instead as a quiet walk through ideas that don't require conclusions, through questions that are allowed to remain unanswered. And as you listen, if your thoughts begin to drift, if images blur, if you forget where one idea ends and another begins, that's not a mistake. This is exactly where this story takes place. If you find peace here tonight, you can always return to this tranquil place anytime. Here, you will always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and calm the mind. Where are you listening tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now, take a slow breath in and let it out gently. There is something comforting about the idea that the universe does not demand our constant attention. It continues its vast, intricate dance, whether we are watching or not. Galaxies spin, stars breathe light into darkness, invisible structures hum beneath everything we see. And somewhere, deep within all of that, beneath atoms, beneath particles, beneath even the idea of small, there exists a subtle boundary, not a wall, not an edge, but a quiet suggestion that says, this is where knowing begins to rest. Physicists sometimes speak of a smallest meaningful distance, but tonight, we won't name it. We won't measure it. We won't trap it in numbers. Instead, imagine it as a pause in reality, a gentle hesitation, a place where the universe itself seems to whisper, here, it's okay to stop looking. Picture yourself standing beneath a vast night sky, the kind that stretches endlessly, sprinkled with stars that feel both ancient and intimate. At first, your eyes take in the familiar shapes, constellations you half remember, patterns passed down through stories and generations. But the longer you gaze, the more those patterns soften. Stars blur into glow. Glow dissolves into darkness. Eventually, you stop trying to identify what you're seeing. You simply feel the immensity of it. That feeling, the gentle overwhelm, the peaceful surrender, is the same feeling we carry with us as we begin this journey inward, toward the smallest silence imaginable. think about your own body for a moment. Not analytically, just as a presence. The warmth beneath your skin, the steady rhythm of your breath, the quiet work happening without your awareness. Cells repairing, signals traveling, systems balancing themselves. You don't control any of this consciously, and yet, it all unfolds perfectly. If we could zoom in, slowly, kindly, past the surface of your skin, past the delicate architecture of cells, past the tiny sparks of chemical exchanges, we would find ourselves entering a world that feels less like machinery and more like a dream. Here, particles don't behave like solid things. They shimmer, they blur, they exist more as possibilities than objects. And as we continue inward, without rushing, without force, even those possibilities begin to thin, until eventually we arrive at a place where asking, "What is this made of?" no longer makes sense, not because the answer is hidden, but because the question itself grows tired. This is not a failure of understanding, it's an invitation to rest. Many people spend their lives searching for certainty, trying to reach the bottom of things, trying to find the final explanation. But there is a quiet wisdom in recognizing that some depths are not meant to be reached. They are meant to be approached slowly, reverently, and then left undisturbed, just as you wouldn't disturb a still lake at night by throwing stones into its reflection. The universe, too, has places that remain calm only when we allow them to remain untouched. And perhaps that boundary, that smallest silence, exists not to frustrate us, but to comfort us. It reminds us that we don't need to understand everything to belong here. You are not separate from this vastness. You are not an observer standing outside of it. You are made of the same quiet rhythms, the same subtle pauses, the same gentle uncertainties. As your breathing slows, as your thoughts soften, notice how little effort it takes to simply exist in this moment. No answers required, no conclusions waiting at the end, just a story unfolding at the pace of the night. And somewhere ahead, very gently, a new image begins to form, a shift in scale, a movement from the familiar towards something vast and strangely intimate at the same time. But we won't rush there. For now, rest here, in the quiet space, between knowing and wondering. The journey continues, not forward, not upward, but gently outward, as if the space around you is slowly unfolding. You are still here, still breathing, still held by the quiet of the night. Nothing has changed, and yet, something feels wider now. Imagine standing at the edge of a calm shoreline at night. The sea stretches out before you, dark and endless, its surface barely moving, as if it too has decided to rest. You don't need to step into the water. You don't need to follow it to the horizon. Simply noticing its presence is enough. Scale has a strange way of softening the mind. When something becomes too large to fully grasp, the brain quietly stops trying to measure it, and instead, it feels. That is where we are going now. Not into complexity, but into spaciousness. Picture a single grain of sand resting between your fingers. Its edges are smooth from countless journeys, tumbled by waves, polished by time. Now imagine a beach made entirely of such grains, miles and miles of them, a vast softness under the night sky. If each grain represented a moment in time, or a thought you've ever had, or a breath you've taken, it would already feel infinite. But now, let the image gently shift. That single grain of sand begins to shrink, not suddenly, not dramatically, it simply becomes smaller. Smaller than what the eye can follow. Smaller than what touch can register. And yet, it remains quietly present. As it shrinks, the beach disappears. The ocean fades. The night sky recedes. All that remains is scale, loosening its grip. At a certain point, the idea of smaller no longer feels meaningful. It stops being a direction and becomes a sensation. This is where the universe begins to feel less like a structure and more like a mood. Scientists sometimes describe this realm as the foundation of reality. But tonight, we won't build anything here. We'll simply stand in the open space and let it surround us. Imagine a vast, dark room, so large that its walls cannot be seen. There are no corners, no edges, only a soft, ambient glow, not coming from any single source, but gently present everywhere at once. This glow doesn't illuminate objects, it reveals emptiness, and in that emptiness, scale dissolves. Here, the difference between large and small feels almost irrelevant. A mountain and a particle are no longer opposites. They are expressions of the same quiet fabric. You might notice something happening in your body now, a subtle release. When the mind is no longer asked to calculate or compare, it begins to rest. Your shoulders soften, your jaw relaxes, your breath deepens on its own. There is no urgency here. Nothing is approaching, nothing is receding. Time itself feels less directional. This is not because time has stopped, but because you are no longer chasing it. Imagine time, not as a river pulling you forward, but as a vast, still lake. Moments are not swept away. They simply appear, linger, and gently fade into the surface. In this place, distance behaves differently. 2 points do not feel far apart, because far has lost its reference. Everything exists in relation to everything else, like notes in a chord resonating together. You don't need to understand this. You don't need to hold on to it. Let it pass through you, like a breeze through an open window. Long ago, humans looked up at the night sky and wondered where the world truly began. Was it the stars, the darkness between them, the unseen structures holding everything together? Tonight, those questions don't demand answers. They simply drift beside us, like old companions. As we continue, the space around you feels even softer now, less like a place, more like a state of being. If you imagine zooming outward again, past planets, past stars, past galaxies spiraling slowly in the dark, you don't feel small. Instead, you feel included, as if the universe is not something you're looking at, but something you're gently floating within. And then, almost without noticing, the journey turns inward once more. Not abruptly, not with intention. It's as if the universe itself has taken a slow breath in. We move back toward that quiet boundary, that subtle place where meaning grows thin. Here, the idea of a smallest distance is not a limit, but a lullaby. It says, you've gone far enough for tonight, not because there is nothing more, but because this is a place meant for rest. Imagine trying to focus your eyes in complete darkness. At first, you strain, you search for outlines, you want to define shapes, but eventually, your eyes relax. You stop trying to see, and you begin to feel the space instead. That is what happens here. When we approach the deepest layers of reality, the universe does not reveal sharper details. It offers softness, it offers blur, it offers permission to stop asking for clarity. And in that blur, something unexpected happens. The mind relieved of effort, begins to drift naturally toward calm. Thoughts slow, images stretch. The boundary between listening and dreaming becomes thin. You may notice memories surfacing, not sharply, but like reflections on water. A night sky you once stared into, a quiet moment you didn't realize was important at the time. These memories don't demand attention. They simply pass through, wrapped in warmth. In this softened state, it becomes easier to accept that not everything needs to be resolved, that not every question needs an answer. Some questions exist only to slow us down, and perhaps the smallest silence in the universe is not a thing at all, but a reminder that rest is woven into reality itself, that pauses are not interruptions, they are part of the design. As this part of the journey gently settles, you may feel a subtle pull forward, not of curiosity, but of quiet openness. Ahead, we will begin to move again, not through space, but through layers, layers of familiarity, layers of perception, a gentle descent, guided by breath, guided by stillness. But for now, remain here, floating in this spacious calm, held by scale that no longer demands understanding. Let the night continue its slow work. We continue now, not with a step, not with a motion you can feel, but with a soft shift in attention. It's the kind of movement that happens when you close your eyes, and the world doesn't disappear. It simply changes texture. You are still resting, still breathing, still safely held by the quiet we've been building together. Nothing asks for your effort. This part of the journey is not about discovery. It's about drifting. Imagine yourself lying comfortably beneath the night sky. The stars above you feel distant, but not cold. There's a sense that they are watching quietly, not with awareness, but with presence. Now, instead of looking outward, let your attention begin to soften inward. Not into thought, not into memory, just inward, like sinking into a warm blanket. We begin with what feels familiar, your body, not as a shape, not as an object, but as a collection of sensations. The gentle rise of your chest, the subtle weight of your limbs, the warmth where your body meets the surface beneath you. Nothing more is needed. Now, imagine those sensations becoming quieter, not disappearing, just growing faint, like music playing in another room. As the volume lowers, something else becomes noticeable, a sense of depth, as if beneath every sensation, there is another layer waiting patiently. We move there now. Picture the surface of a calm lake at night. Moonlight rests upon it, barely trembling. But beneath the surface, there is another world, cooler, darker, slower. Fish drift, currents move without urgency. Everything feels suspended. Our journey mirrors this descent. Beneath the surface of the body, there are structures quietly working without ever announcing themselves. Cells, each one a small, self-contained universe. You don't need to picture them clearly. Just imagine countless soft lights, gently glowing, each with its own slow rhythm. They don't rush, they don't compete, they simply exist, together. As we drift closer, these lights blur into patterns. Patterns blur into motion. The idea of edges becomes less important. What matters now is the feeling of continuity. Every layer connected to the next, without sharp boundaries. And as we move deeper still, even the idea of inside begins to soften. We pass into a realm where the word structure feels too rigid. Here, things are not built, they emerge. Particles are no longer tiny solid points. They are whispers, suggestions. They appear linger briefly, and then dissolve back into the quiet. This is not chaos, it is rhythm, a gentle appearing and disappearing like fireflies on a warm summer night. You don't count them, you don't track them, you simply watch, until even watching feels unnecessary. As the journey continues, the layers grow more abstract. We pass beyond molecules, beyond atoms, beyond the comforting idea that everything can be broken into smaller pieces. Here, the language of things begins to fail. Instead, there is movement, soft, wave-like motion, not traveling anywhere, just oscillating, a slow pulsing, like the heartbeat of something ancient and calm. Imagine standing in shallow water, gentle waves moving past your ankles. They don't push you forward, they don't pull you back, they simply pass through, again and again. That is what this layer feels like. Nothing solid to hold onto, nothing to resist, only motion and rest, intertwined. At this depth, the mind often wants to label. It wants names, definitions, anchors. But tonight, we let those impulses drift away. There is no need to grasp. You are safe here, without understanding. As we continue, something interesting happens. The deeper we go, the quieter everything becomes. Not silent, but hushed, as if the universe itself has lowered its voice. This is the place where effort naturally dissolves. Trying feels out of place here, the way it feels out of place to shout in a library at midnight. Instead, there is a shared agreement, unspoken, to move gently. You may notice your breathing now has found its own rhythm, slower, deeper, unforced. Thoughts arise less frequently, and when they do, they pass through without leaving marks, like clouds drifting across a dark sky, momentarily visible, then gone. We are approaching a boundary now, not a barrier, not a wall, a soft threshold. It's the kind of threshold you don't notice crossing until you're already on the other side. Here, even waves begin to lose definition. Motion becomes subtle, almost imperceptible. It feels like hovering between two states, between presence and absence, between knowing and not knowing. If this were a dream, this would be the moment, just before images begin to fade, just before the story loosens its grip. At this depth, measurement no longer makes sense. Trying to observe too closely feels like disturbing still water, and the universe responds, not with resistance, but with softness. Details blur, clarity dissolves, not as punishment, but as protection, as if reality itself is gently saying, you can rest now. This is the place where the smallest silence lives, not as emptiness, but as fullness without form. It is not nothing, it is potential at rest, and here, you are not separate from it. Your body, your breath, your awareness, they are patterns within this calm, large patterns, formed from countless smaller rhythms. You don't need to hold this thought. Let it drift through you, like a warm current. As this part of the journey settles, you may feel heavier or lighter. Both are welcome. Sleep often begins this way, not with a sudden drop, but with a gradual loosening of boundaries. The sense of me softens around the edges. The world feels farther away, yet strangely closer at the same time. Ahead, there is a gentle realization waiting, not a revelation, not an answer, just a soft understanding about limits and why they exist. We'll approach it slowly. For now, remain here, floating in this deep, quiet layer. Let the night carry you. We arrive now, not suddenly, not dramatically, but the way evening arrives, almost unnoticed. You may not even feel that we've moved. And that's because this part of the journey is less about going somewhere and more about letting something gently fall away. You are still here, still breathing, still safe within the quiet rhythm of the night. Everything we've passed through, layers, motion, depth, has slowly prepared us for this moment, not to understand it, but to be comfortable beside it. There is a point, deep within the fabric of reality, where observation begins to change what is observed, not in a dramatic way, not with sparks or flashes, but in the way silence changes when you try to listen too closely. Imagine standing in a dark room, trying to see something very small. You lean forward, you narrow your eyes, you strain, and the harder you try to see, the less clear everything becomes. The darkness doesn't fight you, it doesn't resist, it simply grows softer. This is what happens here. At this depth, the universe does not allow itself to be sharply defined, not because it is hiding, but because sharpness no longer belongs. When we reach this boundary, effort begins to dissolve. The act of measuring, of pinpointing, of naming, it gently loses its meaning. Scientists often describe this as a fundamental limit, but tonight, let's think of it differently. Think of it as a curtain, not a heavy curtain meant to block the view, but a thin, translucent one that moves with the slightest breath of air. Behind it, something exists. You can feel that, but the closer you step, the more the curtain sways, softening whatever lies beyond. Here, energy and darkness begin to blend, not as opposites, but as companions. Trying to look too closely adds energy to the scene, and that energy gently folds back into shadow. Nothing breaks, nothing collapses. The universe simply protects its stillness. Black holes are sometimes used as symbols of mystery, but here they are not violent. They are quiet, like a room with the lights turned low, inviting rest rather than fear. They remind us that not everything is meant to be illuminated. Some things are meant to be felt indirectly, like the warmth of a fire, seen through closed eyelids. As we linger here, notice how your mind responds. There is nothing to grasp, nothing to resolve, and because of that, the mind begins to loosen its grip. Thoughts slow, then soften, then stretch into spaces between breaths. This is the soft discovery, not a moment of aha, not a flash of insight, but a realization that arrives quietly. There are edges in reality that exist to bring us peace. We often imagine that knowledge must always expand, that understanding should always push forward, but here we discover something gentler, that stopping can be just as meaningful as continuing, that limits can be comforting. Imagine walking through a foggy field at night. At first, you try to see ahead, you strain to find landmarks, but eventually, you stop, you trust your steps, you listen to the ground beneath you. The fog doesn't disappear, but it no longer feels threatening. It becomes a companion. At this boundary of knowing, the universe feels the same way. It does not reject curiosity, it simply invites rest. 3 quiet rhythms seem to hum together here. Not names, not numbers, just a sense of balance. Like 3 notes forming a chord that feels complete, even if you don't know the melody. This harmony doesn't explain the universe, it soothes it, and in doing so, it soothes you. You may notice now that your body feels heavier, or perhaps lighter. Both are signs. that effort has faded, that the need to understand has been replaced by the permission to simply be. There is something deeply human about this moment. We spend so much of our lives trying to see clearly, trying to define, trying to hold on. But here we are reminded that clarity is not always sharp. Sometimes clarity is soft. Sometimes it looks like blur. And sometimes it feels like letting go. At this edge of reality, where measurement loses meaning, time also begins to loosen. Moments don't march forward, they hover, like dust motes in moonlight, suspended, unhurried. You may feel as though you've been here a long time, or no time at all. Both are true. This is the place where knowing gently ends, not in failure, but in fulfillment, as if the universe has told you everything you need to hear. For tonight, ahead, the journey does not move deeper. Instead, it opens outward again, not into explanation, but into reflection. We'll begin to see how this quiet boundary echoes across all scales, from the smallest pause to the largest patterns in the sky. But we won't rush. For now, rest here. Let the curtains sway. Let the darkness remain gentle. You don't need to cross this boundary. Just being near it is enough. We don't move forward now. We don't move inward. Instead, something gentler happens. The boundary we've been resting beside, that soft place where knowing loosens, begins to feel less like an edge and more like a quiet center, as if everything we've touched so far has been circling around this calm point. Without realizing it, you are still breathing slowly, still listening without effort, still held by the night. And from this place of rest, a new way of seeing quietly opens. Imagine a single ripple forming on the surface of a still lake. No splash, no disturbance, just a small, circular motion, spreading outward with perfect patience. The ripple doesn't rush, it doesn't compete, it simply moves, carrying the same gentle rhythm, farther and farther from its origin. Now imagine that this ripple never fully disappears, that as it spreads, it becomes something larger, so large, in fact, that it no longer looks like a ripple at all. It looks like a curve, a slow arc, a vast motion spanning an entire horizon. This is how the universe often behaves. What begins as something incredibly small does not vanish. It echoes. The tiniest vibrations, the subtlest fluctuations, quietly give rise to everything we see. Stars, galaxies, the slow turning of cosmic structures that feel eternal. And yet, at their origin, they are no more dramatic than a whisper on water. There is a comfort in this idea that the vastness above us was not born from violence alone, but from softness, from rhythms repeating themselves again and again until scale emerged naturally. When you look up at the night sky, it can feel overwhelming. So many stars, so much distance, so much time. But here, resting in this softened awareness, the sky feels different. It feels connected, as if the same gentle pauses we encountered at the smallest scales are still present, just stretched across unimaginable distances. Imagine the universe, not as a collection of objects, but as a vast field of motion, slow, balanced, breathing. Galaxies drift, the way thoughts drift, just before sleep, not aimlessly, but without urgency. In this view, space is not empty. It is full of quiet potential, and time is not a force pulling us forward. It is a rhythm we move within. You may have noticed, as you drift closer to sleep, that time behaves differently. Minutes stretch, hours compress, memories appear out of sequence. This is not confusion, it is a return to a more natural relationship with time. Before clocks, before schedules, time as experience, not measurement. Some physicists imagine time as a series of moments, like frames in a film, each frame complete on its own, not rushing toward the next. When you're deeply relaxed, this idea feels intuitive. You're not being carried forward, you are simply arriving at one quiet moment after another, each one whole, each one enough. In this state, the past does not pull you back. The future does not call you forward. Everything rests gently in place. And from here, it becomes easier to reflect, not analytically, but emotionally. Think about your own life as a pattern, not as a story with sharp chapters, but as a rhythm. Periods of movement, periods of rest, moments of clarity, moments of uncertainty. None of them mistakes. All of them part of the same unfolding, just as the universe does not rush to resolve itself. You were never meant to have everything figured out. Your pauses matter. Your stillness matters. The times when you don't know what comes next are not empty gaps. They are fertile silence, just like the smallest silence we touched earlier, the place where knowing rests. Your own moments of not knowing carry quiet strength. They allow new patterns to form without force. You may notice now that your body feels deeply relaxed, limbs heavy, breathing slow. The mind is no longer trying to connect ideas. Instead, it drifts between them. This is the state where reflection becomes healing, where insights don't arrive as thoughts, but as feelings, a sense that things are okay, even without answers, a sense that you belong to something vast and patient. You are not separate from the rhythms of the universe. You are a visible expression of them, a large, temporary pattern formed from countless smaller motions. Your thoughts, your memories, your emotions, all ripples, all part of a larger calm. And just as ripples eventually soften back into still water, so too do your worries. Not because they are unimportant, but because they are temporary. They don't need to be solved tonight. They can rest. As this reflection settles, there is a gentle warmth in realizing nothing is demanding your attention right now. Not the universe, not time, not even this story. You are free to drift. Ahead, the journey begins to close, not with a conclusion, but with a return to yourself, carrying this quiet understanding. Like a soft lantern, the final moments will not explain anything new. They will simply lower the light and let the night take over. For now, remain here. Let small ripples become large calm. Let the sky feel closer. Let rest arrive without effort. Now, we begin to come home, not by retracing our steps, not by reversing the journey, but by letting everything we've touched settle naturally into stillness. The smallest silence, the vast sky, the gentle ripples of time. They don't disappear, they simply rest. You may notice that your awareness feels softer now, less focused, less defined. This is not losing attention. This is attention, learning how to rest. Imagine the end of a long evening, when the lights in the house are dimmed one by one. Nothing dramatic happens. No announcement is made. The space just grows quieter until silence feels like a presence of its own. That is where we are now. The universe, too, has moments like this. When motion slows, when expansion pauses, when everything seems to lean gently inward. Stars continue to burn, but from here, their light feels warmer than bright. Galaxies continue to turn, but from here, their movement feels like breathing. And you are not watching any of this from a distance. You are part of the same quiet unfolding. As the story begins to loosen its shape, notice how little effort it takes to simply exist in this moment. Your breath moves in and moves out, not because you're guiding it, but because it knows what to do. Your body rests into the surface beneath you, supported without question. This is the wisdom of the night. Nothing is asked of you. Nothing needs to be achieved. Imagine, once more, that smallest pause we touched earlier, the place where knowing rests. It is no longer far away. It feels close now, intimate, like the space between two slow breaths. In that space, there is no pressure to understand the universe. There is no expectation to resolve your life. There is only presence, quiet, steady, forgiving. If thoughts arise, let them drift. They don't need answers tonight. If images appear, let them soften. They don't need meaning. Everything is allowed to be incomplete. This is how sleep begins, not as a shutdown, but as a gentle release of structure. As the mind stops holding the edges of things, those edges blur. And in that blur, comfort grows. Picture the night sky one last time, not vast, not overwhelming, just present. Stars, like small lanterns, scattered gently, not asking to be counted. Between them, darkness that feels soft, not empty, but full of rest. This darkness is not an absence. It is a holding space, a place where light can pause, just as your thoughts can pause, just as your worries can pause, just as you can pause. There is something deeply reassuring in realizing that the universe does not rush. It has all the time it needs. And tonight, so do you. As this part of the journey settles, you may find that words are beginning to lose their importance. That's a good sign. The story has done what it needed to do. It guided you gently, from curiosity to calm, from movement to rest. What remains now does not need narration. It only needs space. Still, before we let the night fully take over, there is one quiet thought worth leaving with you. You are not a small thing in a large universe. You are a large, visible pattern, formed from countless quiet moments, a macroscopic rhythm arising from the same gentle pauses that shape stars and silence alike. Nothing about you is out of place. Nothing about you is unfinished. Even your uncertainties belong. As the story continues to fade, allow your breathing to grow slower still, longer exhales, softer inhales. Let the spaces between breaths grow comfortable. You don't need to stay awake for what comes next. The night knows how to carry you the rest of the way. And the universe, in all its vastness, does not require your understanding to offer you peace. It is already holding you, quietly, patiently, completely. We move now into a quieter place still. Not quieter because sound has vanished, but quieter because nothing is asking to be named. Words begin to feel unnecessary here. They loosen their hold, like leaves letting go of a branch. At the end of a long season, you are still listening, but listening has become effortless. There is no need to follow each sentence, no need to remember where the story has been. It's enough to let the voice pass through you, the way night air passes through an open window. Cool, gentle, unresisting. Imagine standing in a wide, empty field just before dawn. That hour when darkness has not yet lifted, but nothing feels heavy anymore. The sky is neither fully dark nor fully light. It simply is. this is the space we're entering now, between thought and sleep, between awareness and rest. Here, the mind stops arranging ideas into lines and begins to let them soften into shapes. If a thought appears, it doesn't form a sentence. It forms a feeling, a warmth, a memory without detail, a sense of familiarity without a story attached. This is how consciousness slows itself down, not by force, but by kindness. You might notice your body responding. Your face relaxes further. Your shoulders drop just a little more. Your breathing becomes slower than you realize. There is no need to check. The body knows when it is safe. And right now, everything feels safe. Imagine that the universe itself has grown drowsy, not tired, just settled. Motion continues, but it is no longer noticeable, like watching a clock from across the room, until the ticking disappears. Stars still burn, galaxies still turn, but all of that feels very far away now. What feels close is the gentle weight of rest. You may sense that the idea of you has softened, not gone, just less defined. Edges blur. There is less distinction between inside and outside, between listener and story. This is not something to hold on to. It happens naturally, when effort leaves, like falling asleep during a long car ride at night. You don't notice the exact moment it happens. You just realize later that you've arrived somewhere else. Here, time does not matter. Minutes do not pass. They dissolve. The future does not call. The past does not echo. Everything settles into a single, continuous now. If images appear, let them drift. They don't need clarity. A shoreline at night, a distant light, the feeling of being wrapped in something familiar. These are not messages. They are comforts. As language thins, meaning becomes emotional rather than intellectual. The story no longer explains. It reassures. And what it reassures you of is simple. You are allowed to rest. You have done enough today, even if nothing went as planned, even if questions remain unanswered, even if parts of you feel unfinished. Rest does not require completion. It requires permission. And tonight, that permission is already given. Imagine your thoughts now as small lights dimming one by one, not switched off, just turned low. Each dimming brings more space, more quiet, more ease. Soon, there are no lights left to dim, only a soft glow, not in the mind, but in the feeling of being held. The universe does not ask you to stay awake. It does not ask you to witness its mysteries. It simply continues, patient and calm, whether you are watching or dreaming. And you, for this brief human moment, are allowed to drift alongside it. Let your breathing grow slower again. Let the pauses between breaths stretch gently. Nothing needs to fill them. Silence is enough. If sleep comes now, let it come. If it waits a little longer, that is fine too. There is no schedule here. Only softness, only rest, only the night, doing what it has always done best, quietly gathering everything back into stillness. There is very little movement now, not because something has ended, but because nothing needs to continue. The story is still here, yet it no longer asks to be followed. It has become like a familiar presence in the room, quietly sitting nearby, keeping watch while you rest. You may notice that your breathing has found a rhythm of its own, in and out, not counted, not guided, simply happening. The night seems to listen to this rhythm, and slowly, gently, it begins to match it, as if the darkness itself has learned how you breathe. In this space, awareness is no longer focused. It spreads out like warm light diffusing through a room. There is no center, no edge, just a soft sense of being. If thoughts arise now, they do not form complete ideas. They arrive as fragments, half images, unfinished feelings, familiar sensations without context. This is not confusion. This is the doorway. Sleep does not announce itself. It approaches quietly, so quietly that the mind doesn't feel the need to respond. Imagine lying beneath a night sky, so calm that even the stars seem to blink more slowly. There is no distance here. Sky and body feel like part of the same gentle stillness. You are no longer traveling through the universe. You are resting inside it. The smallest silence we spoke of earlier is no longer something you're near. It surrounds you now, not as emptiness, but as softness, a silence that holds rather than erases. In this silence, nothing needs to be remembered. The day loosens its grip. Moments from earlier, faces, words, tasks lose their shape. They don't disappear suddenly. They fade the way colors fade in low light. There is no effort involved. Letting go happens on its own when there is nothing left to hold. The body understands this instinctively. Muscles release, the jaw slackens, the eyes rest deeply behind their lids. Even the sense of weight becomes less defined. You are supported, but you don't need to feel where. If it helps, imagine being gently carried by something vast and patient, not moving, not going anywhere, just held. Time here is no longer a sequence. It is a soft presence. There is no before. There is no after. There is only now, and even that word feels unnecessary. You may notice brief flashes of imagery, a shoreline dissolving into mist, a light fading behind a hill, a memory without a name. These are not dreams yet. They are the mind, loosening its last threads. There is nothing you need to do to encourage sleep. Sleep arrives when it is welcomed, without expectation, and right now, everything is welcoming. The universe does not require your awareness to continue. Stars will burn, galaxies will turn, and you, for this moment, are allowed to rest without witnessing any of it. There is something deeply comforting about that truth. You are not responsible for keeping the world going. You are only responsible for resting when rest is offered. As the story thins further, even listening becomes optional. Words are just sounds now, soft, distant, unimportant. What matters is the feeling underneath them, a feeling of safety, a feeling of being exactly where you should be. If you drift in and out, that's perfect. If awareness fades completely, that's perfect too. Nothing will be missed. The night does not rush, it waits. And when you are ready, without deciding, sleep will gently close the door behind you. For now, remain here or drift away. Both are welcome. There is barely a story now, not because it ended, but because it no longer needs to exist in words. What remains is quieter than language, quieter than thought. You may still hear the voice, but it feels far away, like sound traveling through water, gentle and slow. Listening has become passive. Awareness floats, unattached. If sleep has already come and gone in waves, that's natural. If you're still hovering gently between waking and dreaming, that's natural too. Nothing needs to change. In this space, even the idea of progress dissolves. There is no next step, no direction, only a soft settling. Imagine the final moments of a fire at night, not flames, just glowing embers. They don't flicker dramatically. They don't need fuel. They simply glow and slowly dim, held by the quiet around them. Your thoughts are like that now, warm, faint, unattached. They don't form stories. They don't ask questions. They simply exist and then fade. The body rests deeply. You may not feel your hands anymore, or your feet, not because they are gone, but because attention no longer reaches them. Attention has softened into something wider, less precise, more peaceful. Breathing continues, steady, slow, unremarkable. You don't follow it. It just happens. There is no observer left to observe. And yet, nothing feels missing. This is the gentle paradox of sleep. When the mind lets go of control, it does not fall apart. It settles. Imagine drifting on calm water at night, eyes closed, no shoreline in sight. You are not afraid. You are not searching. You are simply floating. The water holds you without effort. This is how rest feels. When it is complete, time has no meaning here. Minutes do not pass. Seconds do not exist. There is only a soft continuity, like a long, unbroken note, played so quietly that it almost becomes silence. If fragments of dreams begin to appear, let them. They don't need logic. They don't need coherence. Dreams don't ask permission. They arrive when the mind steps aside, and the mind has stepped aside now. The universe no longer feels large or small. It no longer feels distant or close. Those distinctions belonged to wakefulness. Here, everything feels the same, gentle, neutral, safe. There is no need to remember anything from this journey, no insight to carry forward, no lesson to apply tomorrow. Sleep does not require understanding. It only requires release, and release has already happened. If awareness flickers back briefly, that's fine. It will soften again, like a candle flame, briefly responding to a passing breath, before returning to stillness. Nothing can disturb this rest. The night is wide enough to hold it. You are wide enough to hold it. And in this final thinning of the story, there is only one feeling left. Comfort, not excitement, not curiosity, just comfort. The kind that asks nothing of you, the kind that expects nothing in return. Soon, even this voice will feel like part of the background, a distant murmur, a memory forming after the fact. There is no goodbye, there is no ending, there is only the night, continuing quietly, and you resting within it. There is almost nothing left now, not emptiness, just simplicity. The story has loosened itself until it feels less like a voice and more like the quiet of the room around you. You are no longer listening to anything. You are simply resting with it. Breathing continues, soft, slow, unremarkable. It does not ask to be noticed, and you do not notice it. The mind has stopped forming edges. Thought no longer begins, and no longer ends. It drifts, then settles, then drifts again, like fog moving gently over still ground. If you are already asleep, these words pass by without meaning. If you are hovering just above sleep, they feel like distant echoes, comforting, but unnecessary. Either way, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. There is no final insight waiting here, no message to remember, no truth to carry forward into the morning. Sleep does not need wisdom. Sleep needs permission, and that permission has already been given. The universe does not require your attention tonight. It does not need to be understood. It does not need to be observed. Stars burn whether or not we watch them. Time flows whether or not we follow it. And you, for this brief human moment, are allowed to stop keeping track. Imagine the night as a wide, dark ocean. Not cold, not deep in a frightening way, just wide. You are not swimming in it. You are not moving through it. You are floating, effortless, held at the surface by something you do not need to name. There is no shoreline to reach, no destination. Floating is enough. If a thought appears now, it dissolves before it can finish forming. If a memory flickers, it fades without attachment. Nothing lingers. Nothing asks to stay. The body rests deeply. Muscles have let go of their last quiet tension. The face is soft, the jaw loose, the eyes resting heavily behind closed lids. Even the sense of weight has softened. You are supported, but you no longer need to feel how. This is rest without effort, rest without intention, rest without even the idea of rest. There is something profoundly gentle about this state, a reminder that consciousness itself knows how to turn inward when it is safe to do so. And tonight, it is safe. You have done enough. You have been enough, even on days that felt unfinished. This moment completes them. Nothing from today needs to follow you here. Tomorrow can wait. Plans can wait. Questions can wait. They will still be there if you need them. But for now, they are not needed. The smallest silence we spoke of earlier is no longer an idea. It is the space you are resting in. Not nothing, not something, just quiet continuity, a gentle holding. As the last traces of language thin even further, these words lose their shape. They become tone, then breath, then nothing at all. And that is exactly right. If sleep deepens now, let it. If it has already taken you, this ending will pass unnoticed. There is no farewell, no closing statement, only rest, settling in layers, soft, deep, unbroken. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark, and even that lantern is allowed to dim. Sleep well.